Romance, love, red rose, and candy hearts. What does that remind you of? Yes, you guessed it right. I'm talking about Valentine's Day. Through exchanging chocolates, flowers, and lavish gifts, millions of people from all over the world celebrate this love-centric holiday every February 14th. How romantic! The best and most beautiful thing in this world, isn't it? Not exactly. That's certainly far from the truth. There is actually so much more to Valentine's Day than what we observe today. Before we start, please do subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to get my next videos. The origins of the holiday might be followed back to the February fertility celebration of the Romans. For reasons unknown, no one truly knows the genuine history behind this celebrated occasion, nor do any of the hypotheses totally look at. Its backstory, however not confirmed, is actually captivating yet quite dark and even a bit bloody. There is an abundance of bizarre traditions, pagan rituals, and grisly executions. So, how did February 14th first come to be considered the day of love? Where the word Valentine does come from? Every festival has a story, and so does Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is named after its patron saint, Saint Valentine, a Catholic priest who lived in Rome in the 3rd century. But there is actually some confusion surrounding which Saint Valentine the holiday technically honors, as the love-filled holiday may be based on a combination of two men. There were, after all, two Valentines executed on February 14th by Emperor Claudius II, albeit in different years. It's believed that the Catholic Church may have established St. Valentine's Day to honor these men, who they believed to be martyrs. There are many stories about St. Valentine, and over time, these stories grew into the legend we know today. Story number 1. Many Romans converted to Christianity at the time of Valentine's life, but Emperor Claudius II was a pagan and established strict rules on what Christians were permitted to do. Claudius believed that Roman soldiers should be completely devoted to Rome and therefore passed a law prohibiting them from getting married. Saint Valentine defied Emperor Claudius II's ban on marriage, illegally marrying soldiers in secret Christian ceremonies in the spirit of love, until he was caught, jailed, and sentenced to death. Valentine was executed on February 14th. This was the beginning of his reputation for believing in the importance of love. Let's move on to story number 2, which includes the same characters just in an alternate variation. It is said that Saint Valentine wrote the first Valentine greeting to the blind daughter of his jailer he tutored and fell in love with, the crimes outlined above, while he was imprisoned. He wrote her a letter signed "From your Valentine" before his death, which remains a widely used phrase to this day. Another story suggests that Valentine was killed for attempting to help Christians escape prison in Rome, and that he actually sent the first Valentine message himself while imprisoned, writing a letter signed "From your Valentine." He was also executed on February 14th, however, perhaps in a different year. Last but not the least, story number 3 includes Valentine's Day's roots, which are in an ancient pagan festival. To Christianize the pagan fertility festival called Lupercalia, which was celebrated in ancient Rome on February 15th, dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, as well as to the Roman founders Romulus and Remus, the Christian Church chose to put St. Valentine's Day in the middle of February. The Roman priests would assemble at a sacred cave to begin the festival, where they would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification. They would then cut the goat's hide into pieces, dip them in the sacrificial blood, and take them to the streets, slapping the goat's hide softly on both women and crop fields. Roman women accepted the touch of the hides, far from being afraid, since it was believed in the coming year to make them more fertile. Later in the day, all the young women in the city would put their names in a big urn. The bachelors of the city will each select a name and be partnered with his chosen woman for the year. Such matches have also resulted in marriage. At the end of the 5th century, Roman Pope Gelasius formally announced that the feast of Saint Valentine would be celebrated on February 14th. Rome had become Christian by this time, and the Catholic Church was eager to root out any remaining paganism. The poet Chaucer in the Middle Ages was the first to link Saint Valentine with romantic love in his 14th century works The Parliament of Fowls and The Complaint of Murs. At the time of Chaucer's writing, February 14 also happened to be considered the first day of spring in Britain, since it was the beginning of birds' mating season, ideally fitting for a celebration of affection. The oldest record of a Valentine being sent was a poem written by a French medieval duke named Charles to his wife in February 1415. Charles wrote this sweet note to his sweetheart while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London after the Battle of Agincourt at just 21 years old. It is currently on display in the British Museum. Back in 1537, King Henry VIII announced that Valentine's Day would be a public occasion and selected 14th February as the official day of festivity. Soon people began exchanging handwritten letters to both lovers and friends during the 17th century. Gradually, the tradition of exchanging letters was extended to all manner of gifts including cards, roses, chocolate and jewelry. The tradition of giving flowers for Valentine's Day goes back to the 17th century. Today, giving red roses may be an obvious romantic gesture, but it was not until the late 17th century that it became a common tradition to offer flowers. The practice can be traced back to when, on a trip to Persia, King Charles II of Sweden learned the language of flowers, which pairs various flowers with specific meanings, and then introduced the tradition to Europe. The act of giving flowers then became a popular trend during the Victorian era, including on Valentine's Day with red roses symbolizing deep love. It was in the 1840s that the first Valentine's Day cards were mass-produced in the US, sold by Esther A. Howland. Known as the mother of the American Valentine, Howland is credited with commercializing Valentine's Day cards in America, and she is remembered for her elaborate crafty cards made with lace and ribbons. The first heart-shaped box of chocolates was introduced by Cadbury. It was invented by Richard Cadbury, who started packaging chocolates in fancy boxes to increase sales. He launched the first heart-shaped box of chocolates for Valentine's Day in 1861, and today more than 36 million heart-shaped boxes of chocolates are sold each year. That's 58 million pounds of chocolate. Candy and flowers may be some of the most popular gifts for Valentine's Day, but recently the category usually spent most on February 14th is jewelry, at a whopping $5.8 billion in 2020, according to the National Retail Federation. Valentine's Day is one of the popular days to pop the question, with as many as 6 million couples getting engaged, which makes February the second most popular month for wedding proposals after December. And evening out with $4.3 billion was the second most paid for gift on Valentine's Day 2020, followed by clothes, sweets, and then flowers. And this is how a pagan celebration, or remembering the martyr, turned into simple and romantic appreciation from its bloody roots until it reached a certain point in more recent history where the candy, card, flower, and then the jewelry industries pushed hard to boost their annual sales, making this day a modern-day chocolatey celebration, which was the beginning of the multi-million-dollar industry. Having said that, the truth is, when you receive unconditional love, life feels great. When you get to know that people love and appreciate you, it feels wonderful and inspired. So everywhere you go, spread love. Our world needs more love throughout this journey of life, especially amid a pandemic. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, comment below, and be sure to subscribe Infoholic.